Hey friends, welcome to another installment of the Tango Banter. I am Elisaveta, and today I am joined by my second guest, Rodolfo Roballos, who is the director of La Academia Tango Club in Buenos Aires. La Academia is a modern tango orchestra active performing within Buenos Aires and around the world, and they are also a tango school teaching people to play tango music and perform in an orchestra. Over the last few years, they have developed their teaching technique and have adapted it to the online environment, teaching people to play tango music over Zoom. Rodolfo has a very unique vision. He wants to train and have an active tango orchestra in every major city around the world. He believes that we can bring about the second golden age of tango. So, in today's conversation, we talk about how it all started for him. Where did it all begin? Why did he even go into this? And how did his vision develop? And we get a glimpse into a really unusual and incredibly exciting project that he's working on right now to be released soon in Buenos Aires. Rodolfo is going to be doing a seminar with me on Saturday, August 6th from 12 to 1:30 p.m. Pacific time. All of the details are on my website at imsotango.com, and you can also find those links in the show notes, along with some other links to some exciting things that Rodolfo talks about. So enjoy the episode. Let me know what you think. You can message me on social media at imsotango. And I hope you decide to join us for the seminar in August. All right, here we go. I want to start with this idea of like, what is it like to be a musician in tango today?
Well, today I work a lot in La Academia. I play with our own orchestras. Sometimes I play in other places, but I really love La Academia's work and not so much playing in the touristics places, you know.
Oh, so is
Uh,
there a difference between like playing in more tourist attraction places and what you're doing? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, of course. There are a lot of tango shows that I think 90% are tourists, um, and they are very similar, and the shows are more or less the same. Some they have a high quality and some don't. Uh, but I don't know. I never liked a lot to play every night in the same place, playing the same tangos. Uh, I I played a lot the last 20 years with Mederos. That I always loved that. The one of the most important orchestras in the world for sure. Um, and that's different. No, it's more for the people who looks for real tango. They for the people who know tango or not, no, but they know that it's a high level music.
Mm.
Um,
And what
and
is,
I
I mean,
yes.
that's a big question. Like, what is to you real tango? Like, what is the difference? How would we even begin to understand that difference?
Well, we have a lot of real tango. I think that all the musicians that now we have a lot of young musicians uh, that studied and play a lot and play with other tango musicians, and they have learned in that way. Uh, continue the tradition, and a lot of them making new music and change it, doing new stuff, but it's really important to know the how to play the traditional tango, because if not, I think it's impossible to make a evolution.
Mm-hmm. And so, any regular tango musicians that, might be active on the scene right now, how many tango songs would they be expected to know? Like, how many songs do you know how to play?
I don't know a lot, but uh, maybe not. I don't know them. I don't have them all in my head, but with the music sheet, we can play all.
Well, I know that you can play them all, but I'm just curious how many, like in terms of the repertoire that an orchestra would have, if I were to start to play in an orchestra, eventually, like how many songs is it? Is it like hundreds of songs? Is it more
No,
like 20?
no, it depends. It depends. For example, in La Academia, we worked a lot every tango, so it takes time. Uh, we start one by one, and maybe in 1 year we work between, I don't know, 5, 7 tangos. And a professional orchestra, maybe at least they have 15, and sometimes they really have more, and every show they change some.
I see. So,
But it depends. With Mederos, I think we have something like 30.
wow. So, and you played with him for quite some time. How long did you play with him?
I'm still playing
Oh,
since 2003.
amazing. So he's still
Yes.
performing, and you guys are still performing. So you perform with him within the La Academia orchestra, or is that a separate orchestra?
No, it's separate, but sometimes he comes. He's our honorary director, and sometimes in big shows he plays with us, and we also he also come, and we have with him like seminars, workshops.
Fantastic.
So it's yes, it's very nice to put together our students with him.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know much about him, but just from what you've said to me before, he really seems to be quite legendary. And I'm wondering if you could just talk a little bit about him and who he is in tango, because I'm sure that most people listening to this podcast are like me and they don't really know his importance.
Yes, he is one of the more famous tango musician now and in the last years. He played with Pugliese, he played with Piazzolla, then he recorded a CD with Daniel Barenboim, a very famous world musician. He was the guy who more I think that uh, really a lot of musicians that are now in the scene studied with him. And well, he's a great bandoneonist, composer, director. You can find him in Spotify maybe
That's amazing.
or
And so
YouTube.
he's still
Yeah.
performing. How old is he now?
Now he is 83.
Wow, incredible.
Yes, but he's really active.
And yeah, that must be such an incredible journey to have with someone so close to the original, I guess, orchestras, someone who worked with Pugliese and Piazzolla. So how did you end up meeting him? What were the circumstances of that?
It was like a miracle for me playing with him because I started studying with him. He always has a lot of students, and after 3 years of studying with him, he finally decided to start with his own orchestra because in that moment he was playing with a quintet. Um, and in that orchestra, he mixed very professional musicians with a little group of students, and I was one of the lucky guys that entered there. In that moment, I was a student. I was a really bad musician.
How old were you at that point?
23.
Wow. And so how long were you playing the bandoneon at that point already?
3 years.
Got it.
It was crazy because when I started, he told me some things in the classes, um, and I told my friends that I feel that I in that moment I will start playing with him. I remember one of my best friends trying to he told me like, okay, quiet, that's quite impossible. Because it was like impossible. Uh, and I told him, no, no, I really believe this because he told me things like, uh, what what will your family think when you play all around the world or things like that.
So he did not like the idea of you playing with him, or were they jealous at the idea of you playing with him?
No, they were friends, not no musician friends, but
I see.
they try that I didn't disappoint too much when I realized that that wasn't possible.
So they were like, "This is not going to happen. You better not have expectations. This is just too good to be true." And then it happened.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yes.
And so I'm assuming that you got into this experience with him because you already knew who he was, right? Did you know about him before? Were you following him? Like, what was that journey?
I knew a little, but I started going to see some young orchestra that started playing in 2000, and I made some friends there, and they recommended to study with him. So there I started to know him really more.
Wow. And so you started playing the bandoneon when you were 20. Is that right?
Exactly.
And is that something you always wanted to do? How did that happen?
When I was 15, I discovered Piazzolla, and and I really loved his music really a lot. And all that years, I listened all the time his music. And then when I was 20, like I told you now before, I discovered these big tango orchestras. And when I saw them with a lot of young musicians, that blew me. It was like, I can't believe this. I want to be there. And I was studying political sciences, and I started studying with Medeiros, and I quit the university.
Wow. That must have been quite a blow to your family, no? How did they take that transition?
No, it was terrible.
Really?
Yes,
I mean,
yes, it was terrible. Uh, but when I started playing with him, it changed a lot because I started playing around the world. I was in the newspapers. I played in the best places. So I think they get a little more relaxed. Like
they
he's going
changed their
good.
minds. Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, I can imagine because I myself, when I was going to college from high school, I decided to go into the arts. I decided to be an artist, and my parents did not were not happy about that. So I know how difficult that is. But that's really special that you're at 15. You were studying political science already in college. Were you in college at that point, or were you in high school at this point?
No, I started in no when I was 19,
Oh, that's right. That's right. You were
18,
19. That's
19.
right.
Yeah.
But 15 is was your introduction to Piazzolla. Now,
Yes, or I think 13, maybe before.
wow. So I have so many questions about that because as a dancer, Piazzolla is like the end of the line. You know, Piazzolla is where tango crosses over into this realm where it's not very danceable anymore. It's very abstract. It's very kind of ethereal. And for you, that was the beginning of the journey is to be introduced to Piazzolla. So what was it about his music in particular that struck you so much? Were you already familiar with tango at this point? I mean, because you grew up in Buenos Aires, is that right?
Yes, but not really, because in that moment of Buenos Aires tango, imagine that bandoneonists in that moment were really a few, and tango didn't sound in the city. Um, and now neither. Even we are being every year more. We have a lot to work. My father was listening Piazzolla CDs, and I asked him, "What's this?" It's took my attention, and after that I started listening and listening. I don't know what, but it was like a big connection. And like you said, I started with him, and 8 7 8 years after, I discovered Pugliese, Troilo, and all that musicians that they were before.
Do you remember what the first Piazzolla song was that you heard?
Yes, the CD that is called Libertango.
Libertango, and it was just the whole CD. That's the CD that you heard when you first were introduced. Okay,
Yes,
I'm gonna have to discover it for myself, and maybe I'll link to a YouTube recording of that
yes, I
CD.
recommend you one CD that it's amazing was recorded in America. It's live in the Central Park.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
That is amazing. Yeah.
So, so you said something interesting. You said at the time that you discovered Piazzolla, at that time, tango was not really that present in in Buenos Aires, you know, culture. So, or is,
No, I think that.
yeah,
Ah,
go ahead.
sorry.
I wanted to revisit that and get a little bit more sense of what you mean by that.
No, we have some places, the milongas, some places of musicians, but it's not in the streets.
I see. And
We are.
yeah, and so what year are we talking here? Is this like in the 90s? So you're saying back then tango orchestras were not as like well known to you? Because like how come you didn't hear about Pugliese or Troilo right away? What
No, from the 60s to 2000, orchestras also almost disappeared.
from the 60s to the 2000s? Yeah, I'm really curious. I don't
Yes.
know much. I mean, I know a little bit just from, you know, reading online, but I'm curious how you would describe what that period was like for tango in Buenos Aires from the 60s to the 2000s.
I think it should be really hard for tango musicians. I didn't live that, no? I'm from 1980. Uh, but for example, a really great musician that is Rubén Juárez, he played bandoneon, and and when he was really young, he played bandoneon, and the people, his friends of school, uh, made bullying to him because it was really strange. So imagine how the tango uh, was a, I don't know, like a bad
Yeah, it was
thing.
like an insult that somebody would be playing tango. That's so interesting.
Yes, it was crazy.
And so you kind of said it was from the 60 to the 2000. What do you think, what do you think helped it to change? Because now it's very different now. So what do you think contributed to that change?
Yes, I don't know. Like young people started to listen again, and have they wanted to play. I think Piazzolla was the gate for a lot of us. Like we started with Piazzolla, and then we discovered the old orchestra. And you know that Piazzolla played with a lot of traditional orchestra, for example, Troilo. He played with Troilo, and he was also one of the guys that made arrangement for him. So he really knew the style.
I'm curious if you can confirm or deny this thing I read about Piazzolla, that he wanted to actually be a classical musician, and he went to Russia and studied classical music, and then
Yes,
yeah, and then his piano teacher, I believe, eventually said that he has to go back to tango, that tango is what he is, and that his future was tango. Is this true?
it's true. Not Russia. He studied in
Aha.
Paris, in France, with Nadia Boulanger. That she was also the teacher of Stravinsky. Uh, with yes, and he studied some years with her. And one day she asked him to play some of his music. And when she listened, she told him, "This is Piazzolla. You should play this."
I this thought just occurred to me that, as you say, Piazzolla is the gateway for you, and after Piazzolla, you discovered the older orchestras. Well, then, when we get to the beginning history of tango, to my mind, it's De Caro. As you said, you've called him the father of tango history, and I want to bring up the fact that you told me you inherited all of this stuff from De Caro. Can you just briefly talk about that, just to let our listeners know?
Yes, another miracle, because in one familiar meeting, a violinist that played in one of our orchestra listened something of De Caro. So she started talking with that people, and they told her that they were going to sell the house where De Caro lived, and they were looking what to do with all his stuff. So we went there, and we asked them that we told them we really want this, and we were in conversations like 1 year, and finally they gave us everything to us. So I hope you come soon to Buenos Aires, and I will
I
show you
can't
everything.
wait. I can't wait. I feel that De Caro is such an interesting orchestra because he was so early and yet he was so modern in his sound. And I don't hear De Caro played at the Milonga very much, but I always have this sense of mystery around him and who he was and how brilliant he was. So I love the idea of seeing some of the stuff that you guys have. And So you have this incredible legacy from both. You have the Piazzolla connection, you have De Caro, and your orchestra, your creation, La Accademia, seems to me is like an incubator for the new wave of tango. And we've talked about this idea of a new golden age of tango. Um, and I'm curious, when you think about the musicians who are coming in, um, you know, a common thought for people my age or, older is like, oh, well, I don't know an instrument. I've never played an instrument. I gave up piano when I was 7. I can't play. So I'm curious, can you speak a little bit to that? Can anybody just start playing tango at any age? Do you have to have special skills or talent to start playing? What are the requirements?
No, of course you can start. There is no age. We have. You are young, Elisabetta, please.
Well, I know, but a lot
But
of a lot
we
of people
have.
I know are not, and I know that there are so many of them who don't even think about this because they think, "Oh, I'm too old. I can't start."
No, we have people really old that started playing with us, and of course the people can. It's you have to learn a little of technique and a little of tango secrets. It's step by step, but when you really want it, you do it. It's a desire thing. There is like it's here happened the same. The idea of, oh, I'm not talent, I don't, I can do it, and it's really no, not like that.
That that's wonderful news. Because I know that for me, that really served as an obstacle in my mind for a long time. I would think to myself, well, I didn't grow up in Buenos Aires. I don't know tango. I don't know the language. So therefore, I can't play tango. But yeah, it's exciting to feel like there's definitely opportunity there.
Yes, and we directed one orchestra in Korea that now three of that girls came to Buenos Aires and now they are playing here with us. But all the orchestra played 1 year there, and we worked with them online by Zoom, and it worked really good. Another in Turkey, and another in Australia, and now in because the first one was in Melbourne, and next month we will start with a new one in Adelaide.
Wow. So you're saying that all of these orchestras, you work with them online first, and then some of them might come play in Buenos Aires, but you really are training everyone to play on Zoom. Is this right?
Yes, exactly. Sometimes person like person to person, like an instrument stuff, and sometimes all the orchestra together
That's amazing.
or the string sections. Yes, it really works. In the beginning, it was like, wow, this will work. It was crazy, but we learned a new way to
And this
work.
is, did you do that during COVID? Was that the one of the tasks in COVID to learn to train people online?
Yes, COVID was important to start with that, and also the Korean girls that because that girls we met them in Australia once that we went there to make some workshops, and they traveled from Korea to Australia, so uh, we know each other and they like how we work, so they asked us to do that. And we bought some equipment to work in a good level. And well, we started with them, and then some people of other countries, I don't know how, they started asking us to work with them.
Wow. I mean, what a what a magical story of how it all comes together. And I think about the fact that tango is a dance that was created from all these different cultures coming together in Buenos Aires, right? Like tango is the music and the dance of immigrants, of people who are, having to connect in all these different ways. And now it's like that concept is so expanded because it's worldwide. You have people coming from all these different countries who are contributing to the tango genre, music, dancing it. It's quite beautiful.
Yes, I never thought in that, but it's amazing. Now we are yes, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
So, I want to finish with this question. One of the things that's been really hard for me when I was studying music was stage fright. And do you know what that is? Stage fright? And
Yes.
I have to say, my music career started with playing classical music when I was a kid. And by the time I was 18, I was playing recitals. And the recitals just killed me. I was so scared. I was so nervous. Um, and so I'm curious, how do you help people work through that? I mean, is this something that kind of goes away? Do you feel nervous when you go on stage these days, or how do you deal with that?
Yes, I think that happened to the 99% of the musicians, and the only way to oh, now I don't know the word, to superarlo in
To
Spanish, to
overcome
go
it?
through, uh, yes, is playing a lot, 1, 2, 10, 100, and one day you start to to have a nice feeling, no? Like to be with the people, to the public, to the audience. But it took me a lot of
Really?
years. Yes, really. Now I feel uh, comfortable. Yes, because bueno, I played hundreds of times. Like
But the first, yeah, I was curious what when you were, let's say you were there the first time with the orchestra, with your teacher right there, like that must have been so stressful.
no, it was terrible. Really, you can't imagine how my hands move. I couldn't control my hands and fingers.
My heart just skipped a beat.
No, it was terrible. Yes,
um,
no, it was terrible.
Now, have you ever had like, the moment that you really mess up on stage that is like really
A lot. The first time, yes, the first time I played, the first time in my life, I play in a theater. Uh, how can I say? In a theater,
like a
not
band, the theater band, the musicians?
with no with
Okay.
actors.
Like a play.
It was how can I was the only musician, and
I
they
see.
were actors, and I played. And I had to play two songs. The first one was with a singer, and the second was an instrument piece. I had it to play alone. Um, in the first one, uh, I had four measures of introduction. That is like 8 seconds, and then the actress started singing, and I played three notes, and I was paralyzed. Uh, yes, and the singer started. He looked at me, and I was really paralyzed, and she started singing, and I did what I could. That was terrible, but like it was a sing tango. The people looked the singer, and I was there, and I played really bad. And 20 minutes after that, I had to play the instrument alone, and they were one of the awful 20 minutes of my life. Yes. Uh, and I thought all the ways uh, that I can escape from that. Like, how can I go away? And I thought like, how can I go? How can I do to don't play?
No, it's fine.
Sorry, my
Yeah.
English. Did you understand? Okay. And I didn't find any way to escape from that situation.
How did
um,
you recover
I
from
was
that kind of
really
experience?
no, yes, it was really terrible. And when the moment came, I closed my eyes, and I thought like, okay, I'm in my house, and I will play like when I'm in my house. And I closed my eyes, and fortunately, I could play it
Oh,
completely. And after that was one of the more relaxed moments in my life.
wow. So,
And after that, I think I drank like 10 beers.
so you were on stage and you have this, moment of paralysis, and then you're about to perform the second piece, and all you can do is just close your eyes and imagine yourself playing at home, and that's what carried you through.
Yes, exactly. And yes, and in that moment, all the
Oh,
lights were on me. Uh, yes, it was terrible.
now after
Yeah.
that, when you walked off stage at the end of that night, was there any part of you that was like, you know what, forget it. I never want to feel this again. I don't ever want to do this again. Or were you kind of like, okay, let's do this again and kind of keep going?
No, I was so happy that I could play that tango that I didn't. The only thing I thought was to drink beer. Yeah.
Thank you so much for this chat. This was so fun to get to know a little bit about your journey, and really looking forward to your seminar on August 6th. And there will be, I'm sure, a lot of more questions that people will bring.
It's it's always a really pleasure to speak
Awesome.
with you. I love speaking with you. And can I tell you one more thing that I think is a highlight that is coming? I told you before that now tango uh, is not in the streets; it's in some music music places or the milongas. Um, so we bought one year and a half before a bus, uh, and we are very close to finish. We are changing that bus in a stage, really professional stage. We are working really hard. With that bus, we will play all around the city in the parks.
Okay, wait.
So all
You're
the people,
saying that you
yes,
got a bus and there's a stage on top of the bus, and you're going to be driving
yes,
around the city
the
playing tango.
yes, and it will you will see it will be a really professional stage with very good sound, equipment sound, with lights. It's specially prepared to a orquesta típica.
which is what? Can you tell what it means for it to be
Yes,
orchestra tipica?
the orchestra like Troilo, Pugliese, we can it's think to that we can play with five violins, five bandoneones, piano, double bass, guitar, cello, singers. Yes, the stage
Wow.
is really big.
Wow. What an incredible vision. A totally radical idea of taking tango to the streets by putting an orchestra on top of a bus.
Yes,
Here comes the new golden age of tango.
yes, we are working for that.